It is still this morning on ITV. It's time now to go to one of the major, what you call it now, what this administration is known for, fight against corruption, and of course to create enabling environment for both locals and foreigners to do business, which of course the then acting president or the current vice president signed the ease of doing business executive order. Of course, one of them is to ensure that business registration don't stay unnecessarily, don't face several bottlenecks, and of course to look at these issues and of course many other issues the Corporate Affairs Commission is doing to ensure that it comply with the objective of the APC administration, and also to create an enabling environment for business to strive. I have with me the SA to the Registrar General, and is also the Director of Compliance with the Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar. Very good day to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
SA, sir, if you permit me, we've had quite a lot from the APC administration, the fight against corruption, and of course we saw the executive orders to ensure that business have enabling environment, fast registration, and it all boiled down on setting up of business and ensure that the economic activity thrives. How has the CAC fared in this area?
Thank you very much. As we all know, the CAC is the only registry of companies in Nigeria that is charged with the responsibility of registration of companies, business names, and incorporated trustees. Countries are measured by how quickly and efficiently companies are being registered. Studied very low ranking in the World Bank Doing Business Index because of the cumbersome process of company formation in Nigeria. Arising from these concerns, the federal government created the Enabling Business Environment Secretariat and the Presidential Enabling Doing Business Council, which have come up with various strategies towards removing the bottlenecks in not just company formation, but in the business environment generally. The CAC, being the registry of companies, has implemented various reforms over the years, within the last 6 months, towards making the process of company registration easier, cheaper, and more convenient for all Nigerians. We have an electronic platform that allows any interested person. You don't have to go through a lawyer, an accountant, or chartered secretary any longer when you want to register your company. So because of this concern, government decided that any interested Nigerian or foreigner that will be able to register his own company can access this service through the company registration portal. The portal has made it possible for you to reserve your unique name without going through anybody. You don't even have to visit CAC. You can also submit your application for registration. You can fill all the forms, pay your stamp duty. In the past, even after you have prepared your documents, you have to go to Federal Inland Revenue Service to submit the documents. They will stamp it before you present these documents to CAC. This was hitherto taking a long time. With the electronic stamping interface that has been integrated to the company registration portal, you don't need to leave that environment to go to a virus. You will be able to reserve the name, fill all the forms, pay the stamp duty, and submit electronically without having to leave your office. That has significantly reduced the cost of registration. In addition to that, as part of the transparency initiative of government, we've also put in the public domain all the list of registered companies in Nigeria. Access our website and check to confirm whether any company or business name is registered at no cost to him. So all these are geared towards giving impetus to the issue of transparency. As an innocent Nigerian, before you deal with anybody, either business-wise or any other way, you can confirm its status to make sure that that business is genuine.
Now, how easy it is for one to confirm the status of any company?
It's very easy. Just Google www.cac.gov.ng. There is an icon for public search. Just put any name. If the company is registered, it will show you the name, the address, the date of registration, and the registration number. It will not just give you that name, it will give you every other similar name. The objective is twofold. One, for Nigerians to be able to confirm whether the business they want to deal with is registered. Two, for those that desire to register companies, before you check, you can check to see whether the name you have in mind is already taken by another person. So this is the objective, and it's actually serving that purpose, because the number of requests that we used to receive for information has reduced, and people are getting this service at no cost. Unlike before, where before you check any name, you have to pay.
It's cumbersome.
Yeah, you have to pay a lawyer. The lawyer will apply to do a search. You check the file. But this preliminary information is now available at no cost. It's only when you need to get additional information, such as the ownership of the company, the names of the directors, then you have to pay for that service. But for government investigation agencies, foreign missions, and other government departments, we've given them an advanced level of access that allows them to even check to see who are the directors and who are the shareholders. This has assisted them tremendously in their core responsibilities.
So, but how has the CAC been able to assist the federal government to, check corruption, fight corruption?
Yes.
Which
Okay.
Is on the top priority of this administration.
Yes. Okay. Let me mention this. The successes recorded in the anti-corruption drive of the government wouldn't have been realized without the CAC.
Really?
Individuals no longer use their personal names to launder money. Corporate bodies are the vehicles for all these corrupt acts. People don't own properties in their names. People don't siphon money. All the corruption in contracts and other things. Corporations, registered companies are being used for all this. And we are the custodian of this information. You cannot successfully prosecute matters if you don't know who is behind a company. You cannot successfully investigate any corruption case if you don't know where the company is located. On a daily basis, we receive an average of 500 requests for information on companies from both EFCC, ICPC, and other anti-corruption agencies. And we have always obliged them. Yes.
Even police.
Yes, even police. So CSE is at the forefront. In addition to that, the government has made commitment on transparency. His Excellency Mr. President gave a commitment last year in London on the issue of beneficial ownership disclosure, that information on the beneficial owners of companies will be made available in Nigeria. The practice now is CAC only keeps legal information on legal ownership. Anybody can register a company and his name may not even feature as a shareholder, but he may indirectly be controlling that company. People use complex arrangements, sometimes running into about 10 different companies that will own a particular company in Nigeria. For you to get to know the ultimate beneficiary is always difficult. We are collaborating with the Open Government Secretariat, OGP Secretariat in the Federal Ministry of Justice to develop a framework for beneficial ownership disclosure. The draft bill on amendment of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, we have done an in-house review. It's with the Ministry of Justice. They are reviewing it. We are now going to make it mandatory for every owner of company to disclose if he is owning shares other than a beneficial owner. And there will be an electronic register that will allow anybody from anywhere to access this information. So these are some of the efforts we are making. And two, we've given access to most of the anti-corruption agencies for information, that they can access this information directly. In most cases, it's only when they require the certified copies of documents to be tendered in court. That is when they come to us. Ordinarily, they can access this information through our portal. Three, there is increased transparency, and we've introduced a lot of restrictions as part of the requirements for registration. In the past, you can use any name to register a company. Nobody checks to see whether the individual that is said to be a director is.
Yeah,
yeah. So people use. Sometimes there were cases where names of children were used. At the time the company was incorporated, the children
used.
they were not even born. No. What we've done now is you must submit either the data page of your passport, your driver's license, or your national ID or voter's card to confirm your identity before we register you. Even with that, people try to bypass the system. Only recently, there was an application to register an association. And one of the trustees is a serving minister in this government. So, which is allowed because it's not a business venture. But the identification that was used was a voter's card that carries an address of the ministry that the minister was serving. And that voter's card was issued before he even became a minister. So it was the address that arose our suspicion. How could you have used an address of a ministry before he got appointed? And he has never worked in that ministry before his appointment as a minister. So that was a pointer towards that, look, that identity was a fake identity.
Some sort of coincidence.
We now call the presenter to come and give justification. The man has disappeared. We are still waiting for him to come. If he doesn't come, we'll report to the relevant security agencies to investigate this. So these are some of the things. By the time government databases are harmonized, we may not even request for any photocopy. What we will do is, before we register you, we'll confirm either from the National Identity Card database or from driver's license database whether the person that submitted that identity or the name of that person, because our forms have provision for the identification number. So once you put the ID number, we'll just log or we'll have integration with this database that will allow us to confirm whether that identity is correct or whether the name of the person is truly.
But this database you're talking about now, it appears is one of the giant strides that the CAC has been able to achieve in recent time. Of course, making it easy for people to register, making it also easy for people to verify if a company is genuinely registered with the CAC.
Yes,
right? But how do you ensure that these data are not compromised?
Well, luckily for us, we've never had any issue of hacking into our website. In addition to the electronic data, we have the hard copies of every file. But in the long run, we intend to dispense with that. With technology, you don't need to keep hard copies of documents. But I can tell you that we've never had any incident. But typical of
the greatest setback of the
yes, that's what I'm telling you. And we've never had any incident of hacking because we have all the necessary security measures in place. At present, we don't host our servers here. We have moved all our servers to Main 1 data center in Lagos, which is more secured. We have 99% uptime service level agreement with them, which makes it easier for customers to access our services 24/7. So, and they have all the necessary protection. It's not only CAC that is hosting there. It's an internationally recognized data center. It's a tier 3 data center, which is one of the best in the world. But that is not enough. We constantly monitor to make sure that our data is not compromised. And in addition to that, every information you are submitting on companies, we are only a registry. The primary information is with the company. So even where that data is hacked, the company can always make the information available again. But we don't even foresee a situation where this data will be hacked. As I said, we are a registry. We receive excerpts of decisions from companies. The company is supposed to keep its minute books.
Sure.
It's supposed to keep its register of members. It's supposed to keep every information about itself. So we are a public registry that makes this information available because every information about the company in Nigeria is a public information. So the company cannot file anything unless decisions are taken by the company. And the primary responsibility for keeping the information rests with the company. We may not know certain decisions unless this information is passed to us. So this is the concept, and this is actually our role in this matter.
If you're just joining us, the program is this morning on ITV, and we've been discussing ease of doing business. Of course, it's one of the executive orders signed by the then acting president, currently the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, and the discussion has been with the SA to the Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission. He's also the Director of Compliance, Alhaji Garba Abokar. Now, let me take you somewhat more on corruption, which of course we all know that is all encompassing. We're going to go by the slogan of the administration. It says that change begins with me. So, but we have had a series of complaints when companies are awarded contracts, especially when they are being published on the page of newspaper. People raise concern and say, that company, that ABC company or XYZ company is not registered with CAC. Has the CAC at any point in time helped government find out those companies that have been awarded contract if they are joining companies registered with the CAC?
I alluded to this issue before in the course of this discussion earlier. It is the responsibility of the awarding institution or ministry to satisfy itself that the company they are dealing with is duly registered. And these are some of the reasons why we decided to give them access to our database that allows them to even confirm whether these companies are actually registered or not. I can tell you, I cannot see a situation where a company will be awarded contract that is not registered. Because you cannot open a bank account. No bank in Nigeria today will open a bank account for you unless they confirm your status with the CAC. And it is also expected that no ministry will deal with you unless you are registered with CAC. If they risk giving contract to an unregistered company, then they will be responsible. On our own part, we attend to every request that is sent to us by any government department at no cost. Unlike private individuals and institutions that pay to obtain such a report, government departments and security agencies and foreign missions in Nigeria don't pay a dime to CAC. Yes, we spend a lot of money preparing documents. We don't charge because we have a responsibility to support government in its economic initiatives and anti-corruption drive. So we don't charge. So all this information is made available free of charge. We'll be receiving requests from different ministries that sort of confirm whether certain companies are registered before they are awarded contract. And it is expected that every other agency should do the same. So because if you approve a contract, how are you going to pay them? With the new Public Procurement Act, I don't think it allows domiciliation of payment. In the past, people get contracts in their name. They will domicile payment in the name of another person. But I don't think that is the practice now, whether contracts are still being assigned. So it is the responsibility of every institution, every agency to satisfy itself that the person they are dealing with is duly registered, is actually in existence before they are awarded contract to you. On our own part, we've been supporting agencies and we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to do that at no cost. Our ultimate objective is to give them access to our document archival system that will even allow these institutions to confirm the documents that are even presented to them.
But as we speak today, if someone is coming to register a company, how long will it take for the person to have?
The government gave us a target of 48 hours, but we'll be registering same day. Once all the requirements have been made, if you submit your application today, we have an electronic platform. If you are processing your application in Abuja, in Lagos, Kaduna, Enugu, Kano, and Port Harcourt, we don't accept manual filings. You must do it electronically. And the moment you upload your documents, in less than 3 hours, you will receive the registration number. Because the process is completely electronic. But if you are submitting from offices other than these 6 state offices, then you have to submit the application. You have a choice, you have an option. Either to do it purely electronically, but if you choose to take the application to the relevant office, they'll collect it, do the data entry for you, approve it, and issue you a certificate. So we are doing registration. I don't have the statistics offhand, but I'm aware that in the last 2 months, we achieve 92% uptime, that is within 48 hours. But the majority of these applications are processed the same day they are submitted. The only area of challenge is some of the applicants don't read our requirements. If we can just, because we want to do things fast, compromise our requirements.
Sure.
If the requirements are not complied with, we will not proceed to register.
But has there been cases of compromise within the CAC?
How? What do you mean by compromise?
I mean, when of course someone is supposed to have his comment registered, not more than 48 hours, and well, the company, so to be, spends even more than a week.
No, we've had typical of every new system. Before you adopt it, the start to finish services were introduced about 3 months ago, immediately before the executive order. And most of the lawyers and other customers, most of them are not ICT compliant. So you will discover that applications are submitted that did not meet your requirements. If it is a CSC staff that delays it, we have zero tolerance to these things.
How do you deal with such?
We punish them, we query them, if it means suspension. For staff that go out of their way to receive applications to handle on behalf of third parties, we sack them. Staff are sacked. Any staff that is caught touting is sacked from the commission to ensure the sanctity and integrity of the process. But for customers, I think there is greater awareness now. With time, people have understood the system, and the level of mistakes has substantially gone down. Most of the applications now are submitted without any challenge, and they know how to navigate the system. So our ultimate objective actually is, even for certificate printing, we want to take it to a level where you don't even need to come to CSC to take any copy of the certificate. We'll send you an electronic version. You print it on any paper of your choice, and we'll have a validation code that allows anybody that wants to deal with you to confirm whether that certificate is genuine. This is the practice globally. But in Nigeria, you have to do things step by step.
Of course.
Most people will prefer to see the hard copy of the paper containing our seal, as opposed to an email that will be sent with a PDF of a certificate.
And still be
but it will have an electronic system. So people are buying into this. Nobody contemplated that the process of stamping of document will be made electronic. Lawyers are very happy, customers are very happy, because the time it takes to go and pay at the bank, take documents to Commissioner of Stamp Duty, stamp it, resubmit it to CAC for data entry and printing of certificate has been dispensed with. We have cut off substantial number of days that they usually to process that.
But how has the commission been able to help this administration in terms of revenue generation? We know that most times we say, the customs are the ones helping out, the FIRs are the ones helping out, the oil is going to dry someday, and
registries globally are not profit centers. Registries globally operate to cover their costs. In most registries, they cover their costs. If there's any surplus, you pay the surplus to government. And this is something we see. The Fiscal Responsibility Act says you spend what you generate. We don't take subvention from government. We pay salaries. All this ICT infrastructure that you see, we use our internally generated revenue to fund it. So, and how much is the revenue? How much do people pay? It's not
10,000 and 15,000.
Yes. So if you add it up,
it's a bit huge.
No, it's not. How many companies have been registered yearly? We don't register more than 2,000 companies in a year. So if you add this, it's not really substantial. It's not really. So what we do is we use the resources to cover our costs, and at the end of the year, if there is any surplus, we are required to remit 80% of that surplus to government. In some cases, we even operate at a loss, because if you cannot meet your revenue targets in a year, that means you are operating at a loss. But we'll continue to do our best. And as I have said, the important thing is for the registry to operate efficiently, because in the past, the emphasis has been on how quickly can companies be registered.
Sure.
But we are taking it to the next level. We want a CAC that is fully digitized, where customers don't have to come here. All information about companies and entities can be accessed remotely. All filings by customers can be submitted electronically. We want a CAC where financial information about companies can be accessed using an XBRL platform, where you don't have to submit scanned documents any longer. You will just log in, submit your data. That will allow for economic development and research. If this information on financials of companies are submitted electronically through the XBRL platform, it will give room for other agencies to access this information. Tax authorities do not have to ask for copies of audited financial statement. All they will do is to access this information and get this information. Financial Reporting Council doesn't have to ask for copies of financial statement. They can access it from CAC. All other agencies, research students and research fellows will be able to access this information from CAC at no cost, and they will use it for economic analysis and research. This is our focus.
I must thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, that is the much we have on this discussion segment. We'll be looking at ease of doing business, and it has been with the essay to the Registrar General and, of course, the Director of Compliance with the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the program this morning on ITV continues.